It's 7:42 in the morning on January 11th, 2012. Tehran's rush hour traffic is a creeping river of metal, exhaust fumes, and thousands of motorcycles weaving through the gridlock. In a city of 8 million people, it's a morning like any other. Stuck in the passenger seat of a Peugeot sedan is Mustafa Ahmadi Roshan. He is 32 years old and a key nuclear metallurgist, the deputy director of Iran's Natanz uranium enrichment facility. His wife sits in the back seat as his driver navigates the crawl. 2 cars back, a motorcycle keeps pace. The passenger on the back reaches out, extending a hand toward the driver's side door. A thick silver magnetic device clamps onto the metal with a click. The riders immediately accelerate away. The explosion tears through the morning commute. It instantly shreds the driver and hits Roshan with an overpressure blast that ruptures his internal organs. Yet the force is so strictly directed toward the front seats that his wife survives in the back, injured but alive. In less than 30 seconds, an operation executed by a foreign intelligence service successfully eliminated a high-value state asset. They did it in broad daylight, navigating one of the most heavily surveilled cities in the Middle East, and disappeared without a trace. To understand the genesis of this strike, we have to look back to 2006. Iran is aggressively accelerating its uranium enrichment program. The country is installing thousands of centrifuges, and its leadership is maintaining a highly defiant posture against international inspectors. Israeli intelligence watches this acceleration with alarm. From their perspective, the calculation is absolute. If Tehran acquires nuclear weapons, the regional balance of power collapses entirely, creating an immediate existential threat to Israel. Planners evaluate traditional military strikes, but the logistical hurdles are severe. The distances are enormous, and the nuclear facilities are buried under layers of rock and concrete. An airstrike guarantees open regional war without guaranteeing success. So they turn to the gray zone. The strategy relies on cyber sabotage, on localized explosions, and targeted killings. These methods create immense doubt and friction within the Iranian program, while allowing the attackers complete deniability. Intelligence planners determined that the removal of specific scientific experts could degrade the program's technical momentum. They chose this surgical approach to achieve disruption, while attempting to avoid the escalatory risks of a direct bombing raid. Let's return to the morning of Roshan's death. At 6:15 a.m., over an hour before the strike, the network is already awake. The 2 men on the motorcycle are the very last step in a deep infrastructure built painstakingly over years. Unseen operatives map out the daily vulnerabilities of targets like Roshan. A tea shop patron scrolling on his phone tracks a departure time. A taxi driver parks and watches an intersection. These mundane covers allow them to document every route, habit, and schedule without drawing a glance. This diagram maps out the operation's defense mechanism, compartmentalization. The distinct clusters, watchers, smugglers, and hitmen. Information flows only to a central, hidden hub. No single operative knows the identity or function of the others. If one is captured, the rest remain secure. Logistics coordinators secure safe houses. Specialists forge passports and establish secure communication channels. All of these scattered pieces exist for one single purpose: funneling resources into a lethal 30-second window of time. The true genius of the assassination lies entirely in the preparation. Thousands of hours of patient data gathering meant that when Roshan left his house that Wednesday, his movements were perfectly predictable. By 7:39 a.m., Roshan's Peugeot hits dense traffic. Tehran's morning gridlock is anarchic, and that makes it the perfect operational cover. Motorcycles use sidewalks, split narrow lanes, and weave through the congestion with total anonymity. Tracking a single bike in this mess is practically impossible. This cross-section shows the weapon attached to the car door. It's a specialized magnetic-shaped charge. Instead of expanding outward in a sphere like a standard bomb, the explosive energy is precisely concentrated into a tight cone, firing directly inward through the door. The geometry of this blast is deliberate. It ensures the total elimination of the primary target, while directing the fatal force away from passengers in the back seat. This minimizes civilian casualties, maintaining the operation's strict parameters of precise counterproliferation. Immediately after the trigger is pulled, the escape protocol begins. The motorcycle turns down pre-selected side streets with blind spots in the camera network. The riders pull into a quiet parking garage, discard their generic helmets, change shirts, and walk out separate exits to vanish among 8 million residents. A multi-billion-dollar state security apparatus, complete with revolutionary guards and heavy street surveillance, failed to stop 2 men on a common street bike with a magnet. The strike team exploited the urban chaos to neutralize a high-level facility director without engaging a single guard. This map of Tehran details an earlier, larger execution of this tactic on November 29, 2010. 2 target markers, representing 2 different scientists, move along separate highways. At the exact same moment, both targets are hit simultaneously. In the first strike, nuclear physicist Majid Shahriari is killed instantly. 17 minutes across the city, the second target, Fareydun Abbasi, sees the motorcyclist approaching. Recognizing the hand reaching out, he throws open his door and leaps onto the pavement, surviving the detonation alongside his wife. Iranian authorities lock down the city and flood the streets with security forces. They analyze the bomb fragments and the military-grade plastic explosives, but the tradecraft is impenetrable. They find no fingerprints, no clear camera footage, and 0 physical evidence. The synchronization of these attacks delivered a paralyzing message to the Iranian nuclear establishment. By striking multiple targets concurrently in heavy traffic, the hidden network proved they could reach the state's most protected assets anywhere, at any time. The campaign aimed to weaponize the routine commute, turning the city's traffic into a source of constant pressure for every scientist in the program. Every motorcycle in the mirror became a potential threat. The terror of the daily commute triggered a significant brain drain. High-level scientists submitted resignations, requested immediate transfers to less sensitive departments, or fled the country entirely, citing academic opportunities abroad. The talent pipeline began to dry up. This chart shows the economic bleed on the Iranian state budget. Watch how a massive chunk of funds originally allocated for nuclear R&D is carved out, heavily reallocated into a ballooning security budget to pay for bodyguards and secure convoys. The regime tried to spin this vulnerability into a narrative of strength. They elevated the dead scientists to national heroes, holding massive state funerals, complete with flag-draped caskets and heavy military presence to project control to the public. While the regime created martyrs, the actual work of enrichment slowed. Documented installation rates for new centrifuges dropped as technical experts left and security protocols added new layers of friction to every daily task. Eventually, the motorcycle strikes ceased. Iranian security adapted, placing remaining scientists inside armored convoys and relocating them to fortified military bases. The easy targets were gone, and the risk of exposure became too high. The shadow war evolved. Planners shifted their focus away from individuals and toward the facilities themselves. The Stuxnet computer worm ravaged centrifuges, and mysterious, unexplained explosions began tearing through military research centers. This multi-pronged covert pressure campaign applied overwhelming financial and operational friction to the regime. It ultimately forced a deeply cost-burdened Iran to the negotiating table, leading to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action in 2015. Meanwhile, the operatives who executed the assassinations were never caught. The mechanic who rode the bike went back to fixing cars. The woman who watched the bus stop went back to her cover job. They melted back into the fabric of the city. Sophisticated intelligence networks rarely disband when a mission ends. They return to their covers, waiting in the morning traffic for the next signal to activate and strike.